Welcome to Cleaning Company Blueprint. Today we have Sandra of Maid Knows Best in North Carolina, and we're putting her in the hot seat to ask her all questions related to her cleaning business. So, Sandra, we met online, I think over 2 years ago. I reached out to you because you had a cleaning business, and my sister and I were just starting ours. And we were like, okay, is this real? Like, who are these people? How do we know this is going to work? This guy, Rohan, my sister met him on Twitter. Do you really have a cleaning company? Is it successful? Are we going to be able to do this? And you were so kind and so generous with your time. So I've always thought about you for the last 2 years in terms of like starting our own and where we're at now, and just kind of feel this bond with you and knowing we weren't alone. We're not alone. Even though we're in geographic locations that are so different, just knowing that you're out there has really helped us. So let's talk about your journey. So how did you get into the cleaning industry?
Well, I was in finance for 15 years before this.
Mm.
So since I graduated college, finance, Merrill Lynch, Wells Fargo, all the big banks.
Yep.
It was great. I had a great run until I realized that I was a great worker. I was top notch, met all my sales goals.
Mm-hmm.
And just felt like I was getting the pennies and just wanted more control over my efforts. So while I was and at this point I was in Wells Fargo, I wasn't feeling valued, right? And so when I was there, I had the opportunity to network with so many different people, right? And I always felt like I was the connector. So I connected so many different people together that there came a point where I was like, you know what? Maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be connecting. I'm supposed to be that middleman. And so I had a business partner when I first started, actually. One of my best friends is a complete entrepreneur, never worked for anyone. And she was like, why don't you just do your own thing? And she's like, let's do it together. So I was like, okay. So she found Rohan and she's like, okay, I want you to listen to this. And I was still working at Wells Fargo. And I was like, okay. So she's like, let's do it. So I was like, okay. We came up with a name. We tried to follow Rohan. Because she's an entrepreneur, because I was in finance and have some control issues, which I'm very aware of. We did have a Rohan, right? So this was in 2015. We started off, we did all the calls.
So for reference, I'm just going to interrupt you there. So what Sandra's talking about when she says the calls is a 30-day course that Rohan and Kevin have been teaching for years, right? That's the one you're talking about? Yeah.
And so I think she found Rohan on Reddit. So it was way back.
The OG. Yeah.
Yes. And so we're like, okay. And we started, it was great. I was still working, so it was kind of nice. There were times where I did go out and clean in heels in my work during my lunch break. It was quite the experience.
Like a suit? Were you wearing a suit?
Yes, in a suit. It was very odd. However, I am the kind of person, right? I was like, you got to get it done, right?
Yeah, get it done.
So I have a cleaning. Of course, we had the no-shows, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, what are we going to do? And at the time, my business partner was pregnant. So her cleaning wasn't really an option because she was about to, she was very far into her pregnancy.
Yeah.
So she was like, what are we going to do? And I was like, well, we're not canceling. This is like one of our first 5 clients.
Yep. You don't cancel.
We're not canceling. So she's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I just need you to bring me some sneakers because I cannot clean in heels and I don't want to clean barefoot. So go get me some sneakers. And I went and
this is gold, Sandra. This is gold.
I was like, we're going to clean, right? We had this thing that we did was, you book and scramble, right? Is what we called it, book and scramble.
Okay, I love that. Book and scramble.
But we were like, what? We're booking. You called us, we were booking. Are you available? Absolutely, we're
Yeah, we
available.
are. Yeah.
Right. And then we scrambled. So the beginning was a little bit crazy,
Mm,
partially because we did not really follow Rohan's to the T.
yeah. Oh, I love
Okay.
that. Hmm.
Everybody wants to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
You think you know
It's the
better?
it's the entrepreneurial journey.
Right?
It
It
can't
is.
possibly be this simple to just follow this
You know
roadmap.
what?
It has to be
That is
harder.
exactly it. Right? Like
Hmm.
it just can't be this simple, but it really is.
Yeah.
Right? It really is. If you stick to it, it really is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to show up.
Yeah.
Right? Every day you got to show up.
Well, and I will say you did follow the script in terms of take a booking and scramble, right? So a lot of people won't even take that first booking because they don't have a cleaner yet. And so they're like, "Oh, I can't possibly answer the phone yet. I can't possibly have a website yet if I don't have a cleaner."
Right.
Whereas what Rohan will say is take the booking, figure it out.
Right.
So I think that's fair. Yeah.
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 And you spend a lot of time on the small things like what is going to be your business name and what does your website look like? I have not touched my website since 2015.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
we did our original website. Actually, we when they did the transition, I did the transition with them. But website wise,
You kept it the same. Okay.
I mean, we have done the stuff that we dedicated a lot of time to, because we even went down to, let's do a business plan, right? Because
Oh,
she was an
wow.
entrepreneur.
Of course, and you worked at Wells
We all
Fargo. You
know
went
that
like
a business plan is like, okay, you know who gets past the business plan? Very few, right? Very few get past the business plan. It's so overwhelming, right?
yeah,
You
it's a
go to
lot of
these
work. It's
that
tedious.
they offer, right? You can go
Mhm.
to the library, you can join all these, and then you're like, oh, I have to do this business plan. I have to make a profit. I have to show this and I have to show that. And then
You don't.
you don't, right?
No.
It's very time consuming and
Mhm.
it's not realistic.
Well, and I don't know that that model works for this particular model because you don't have to prove anything other than our bookings coming in, our cleaners going out. Where's the revenue? And you don't need to have a financial investor to prove it to, right?
Right.
There's other businesses where you do. You absolutely
Mhm.
need that. Whereas with this one, you're not like it is so stupidly simple.
It is. It is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's great. I remember Kevin used to say, right, like, just hit the chart button,
Right.
right? I,
Yeah.
you know, I went out to a couple of cleanings,
Yeah.
guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Um, I did get to a point where I was like, okay, I am not under any circumstances going out to do a cleaning or an estimate. That isn't necessary.
No.
It just isn't. This is not, I picked this platform and this program for a reason, right? The simplicity of it,
Yeah.
it's the McDonald's way, right? You just do it. You just do it. You do
You
the
just do
same
it.
thing over and over again, and
Mm.
it works,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's
If
go
I
to.
am cleaning, what is happening on the other side of this,
Yeah.
right? You get to a point where you have to know what you're worth,
Oh,
right?
yes.
And getting to that point is definitely a journey and is
Mhm.
definitely a game changer, right?
Yeah.
If you know how much
100%.
you're worth, then you are not going to spend your time doing things that are just,
Well, you just don't have time. You just don't have
you
time. You
don't.
don't
And
have
if you do, something's wrong, right?
yeah, right.
If you have time to go out to do a cleaning, something is being left behind in your business,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a
right?
really good point. And I think, I mean, so many of the people that we've talked to in these calls say the same thing. Like it's really good to know how hard it is. It's
Yes.
really good to have empathy for your cleaners because after you've done a few cleans, this is emotionally demanding, this is physically demanding, this is mentally like having to put yourself into somebody else's home or business and be like a chameleon that can adjust to what they want, not just the physical work, but also who you are as a person,
Yeah.
right? Like
And
this,
the chaos in, you're going into somebody's home and you want to believe that some people will change because you're there, but some people don't. So
no,
you get bought into that same energy, that same chaos that they are living in.
yeah,
And then you have to be the one to stay in there for however many hours and then wash yourself off when you get out, right?
yeah, yeah,
Not think about the crazy that was happening while you were
Mhm.
there. I
Yeah.
mean, and um, I've had some experiences. We did a rapper's house at
Oh,
one point. And that was quite the experience, right? It was lucrative, the money was great, right? But the experience for the cleaners was so much
yeah.
that we just couldn't, right? I had to let go of the contract because I wasn't going to let go of my girls, right? So
Nope.
I had to let go of the contract, right? But it's
Oh,
that, right? The
mhm.
experience is great because you're right. The first time I cleaned baseboards in a house,
Mm.
I took baseboards out of my deep cleaning years ago
Wow.
because I did a detailed baseboard cleaning for a 3,000 square foot home.
Oh, how long? How many hours?
And I don't even remember, but I remember thinking, this is so tedious. There is no way that financially this makes sense for me to
Yeah.
include this in a deep clean,
Yeah.
right? You know, you have a pet. I mean, people who have pets, the dog hair is literally on all of the baseboards. And there are those clients who are like, okay, I understand, and I'm not expecting it to be completely
Perfect.
clean,
Yeah.
right? Because I know that in a week it's going to be just as bad because it's right. It's the nature of your home with your pet. But then you have those clients who are expecting something different.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
when you're in this industry for a while, you get all kinds of crazy requests that you're like, mm, I think this isn't a good fit, right? And I feel
Yes.
like part of it is knowing that some clients just aren't,
Oh,
and
I
that's
love
okay.
this. Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
okay
And
because
letting
it's not
go of your
like
clients over your cleaners, knowing that your cleaners are actually really good people. They're working their hardest. I mean, there's some obviously you got to let go, but when you've got your good cleaners, you will let go of a client before a cleaner. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I have that. Don't
Yeah, you have
believe
to.
your
You have
cleaners
to.
and
Mhm.
don't let your cleaners ever hold you hostage because there's the other side of
That's a
that too.
good tip. Can we talk revenue a little bit, Sandra?
Sure.
So, where are you at? Like, what's your monthly billing or your annual, whatever you're comfortable sharing?
So monthly, I am anywhere between 15 and 20
Okay.
a month.
And
Um,
$1,000 she's talking about.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, not
Yeah.
dollars.
Yeah.
Right? So anywhere between 15 and 20 a month.
Okay.
Uh, so,
And it's
of
just you
course,
now. You're not working with your business partner anymore?
my business partner, she moved 2 years into our business.
Okay.
So
So, solopreneur, 15 to 20K a month. And what are your goals for 2024?
I want to be able to provide not only um, financial freedom for myself, but a legacy for my kids. Right?
So
So
many
I'm
of
a
us
mom
say
of
the same
three,
thing. Yep.
and I just want them to live a life of financial freedom.
Intergenerational wealth and freedom, baby. You, me,
Right?
and
I
everyone
mean,
else. Yep.
I feel like through being an entrepreneur, they are able to see the work that it entails.
Okay.
Um, and partially it's that I want to be an example for them and I want them to know that you can do this,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to work for anybody,
Nope.
right? You
Yeah.
can do your own and you can make as much or as little money as you want. That's that's up to you, right?
Yeah.
Um, I am definitely a believer that you have more control than you give yourself credit for, right?
Mm,
It's easy to play the blame game and say that you don't, and that it's because of your circumstances and but the truth is that if you stick to it and you build consistency, right, you are the one who
yeah.
can get it done. You're accountable to you.
hmm There's this myth that I find a lot of my friends have who have jobs. That's what I call them, jobs. You know, a job. Somebody else controls what you do with your time. And they have this belief that it's more secure because, it's Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, they get a steady paycheck. But, I have a friend that's been laid off 5 times now. To be fair, she's in the film industry, but that is what it's like. But the IT industry is the same thing right now. So, there's this myth that it's secure. And I keep going like, does that feel secure? But hey, not everybody's meant to do this, right? Like not everybody, there's a reason that only some of us are really successful in this industry. And it's I don't know what it is, but maybe you can shed some light on what you've seen because you've been in it longer. But the one thing that I've seen anyway is this like almost irrational belief in ourselves, that like we have to. And in a way, what I'm finding anyway is that a lot of the people that are really successful have career changed. So just like you, just like me, just like I think every single person we've interviewed actually for the Hot Seat series has had a career change. So they know what they're leaving behind didn't serve them, whether it was financially, emotionally, time, and what they're doing now is serving what they need. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, reasons why I decided, okay, I'm ready to go. Is I found out that there was a gentleman who I worked with at the company I was with, and I found out I was more qualified. Obviously, I had 10 plus years of experience. I had my
Mm,
licenses. And he was making double what I was making with less experience.
mm.
Now I live in the South, right? I don't know if it's a South thing. I don't,
No,
I'm from the
the gender
North,
thing, my love.
so
Yeah.
it was very different up north.
Mm,
So when I moved to North Carolina, it was quite the adjustment. But when I realized that, it was I feel like when you have a job, you give so much of you. Like for me as a mom, I gave so much of my family time to
right.
this company,
Yeah.
right? So much time that I could have been spending with my children, so many missed moments
Mm,
that when I found out, it was like a kick in the face. And then I was like, okay, to what end, right? At what point is enough enough,
mhm.
right? And so it was easy for me to cut, right? But I feel like you said, right, there is this need for safety, like a safety net,
Right. Is it
right?
safe? That doesn't feel safe to me.
Well, and it isn't. And the truth is that instead of you thinking, well, I have to go back because this is safe, what you should be thinking is, I need to create my own safety net, right? And there is nothing wrong with that,
Yep.
right? And it is very, feasible
Mm,
for you to create a safety net for yourself, right?
mhm.
Um, and I feel like that is what happens to most people. They want to go back to the paycheck, so that every Friday I get a paycheck, right? Um, and you're almost programmed, right? Which is why I tell you with my children now, I tell them, I'm like, you're almost programmed to take these certain steps, right? You graduate high school, you go to college, you get a job,
Yeah.
right? Like you get a job and that's what you do, right? And somebody pays you. You do a job and somebody pays you, right?
Mm,
And so I try to tell the kids, I'm like, that's not everybody's journey. It's not everybody's
no,
fault,
no,
right?
especially not
Um,
now. Yeah.
it isn't. And there's so much uncertainty, right? I mean,
Mhm.
when I was at Merrill Lynch, uh, I don't even know, there was a group of maybe 12 of us, maybe even more. One morning we got there, HR was in the office. By the time it was all done, there was maybe 4 or 5 of us,
Oh, yeah.
right? There is no certainty in
No.
that, right? There is more certainty in you getting up in the morning and being able to do something to move the needle for you and your. There definitely is.
So let's talk nitty gritty about what that actually looks like then. So, excuse me. So when you say moving the needle forward, what do you actually do in a day now?
So, I'll be honest with you, a lot of the reason why I haven't grown as much is
Mm,
because I have so many control issues, right?
mm,
I want to come and I want to do my numbers. I'm,
yeah.
in finance, so I want to look at the numbers and I want to make sure that that all my stuff is in order. And some of my some of my time is spent on too much admin work for
Mm,
me trying to grow my business, right?
right.
Consistently, I will tell you that what I have learned and what I do now is learning what you don't like to do and what you have decided
Mm,
you are not going to do. So
yep.
if you are not the person to make 100 calls, that's not what you do. Guess what? I'm in my 40s. I
Mhm.
am not going to do it, right?
Yep.
So I always say, if I could give you some advice, if there's something that you know that you are not going to do, find somebody to do it.
Yeah.
Don't not get it done, right? That is
Right.
not enough.
Right.
So I used to spend most of my time trying to get referrals,
Mm.
trying to get reviews.
Mm.
Um, Nice job, complete game changer.
I know, same.
Okay,
I love
like
it.
so amazingly. I mean, it's a game changer.
It's a game
It
changer.
is
The link is
definitely
below for anybody watching this. Nice job, integrate. So the software that Sandra and I use is called Convert Labs. Again, link below. And Nice Job can integrate with Convert Labs. And what it does is it asks your clients for reviews, and it does it in a way it's all tested and optimized. It does it in a way that's not horribly annoying. If the person says, "Yeah, I would give it, 5 stars," it's a simple click, and then it asks them again, "Would you mind writing a review?" And it works. It works like magic. Every month
like
you get
magic. So
reviews. Yeah.
I used to be the one to be calling as soon as my booking, as soon as my girl
Oh
was
yeah,
checking
that's so
out.
much work.
I would call
Mm.
them and make sure that it was good because I was in the, oh my gosh, what if I get a negative review? And now I'm like, if I get a review, I get a review, right? It gives me the opportunity. The truth is that everybody knows there's crazy people. And most
Yeah.
of the time when they leave you those long reviews, it's somebody who's just
Yeah.
nobody, you're not looking at that. You're just thinking, okay, she's crazy, he's crazy, I'm moving on, right?
No,
Um,
and it's a good opportunity for your ideal demographic to read them and go, "Oh, that's how they deal with those crazy ones." But don't worry, I'm
yes,
not crazy. So it's
yes,
negatives are actually a good thing. And I know it's always hard
yes,
for people to hear that who really care, but a negative review and how you respond to it shows your positive clients
yeah,
what your boundaries are and how you're going to deal with them. It's a
yeah.
good thing. Yeah.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And I always feel like it's a little sketchy when you don't have any negative reviews.
Absolutely. You, me, and everyone
Nobody's
else feels
perfect,
the
right?
same
I
way.
like the
Yeah.
five. I like the five, but I'm like, it's a little sketchy if everybody, it seems like those reviews are paid. I
Mhm.
feel like that. I try to be consistent. So I do go back to, my clients that we did one-time cleanings for, and I follow up with them. Hey, do you, are you ready for your next cleaning?
Okay, that's good. So you're doing the
Wow.
upsell to get them to become a recurring.
Right. So
Yeah,
right
that's
now
great.
I'm at about 30, maybe between 30 and 35 reoccurring,
Okay,
right?
that's not bad.
Um, which is not bad, right?
Yeah.
Um, I have again these two contracts, right?
Mm.
My
Let's
seven
talk
eleven.
about those. I'm excited to talk about those because that's very different, Sandra. I haven't talked to anybody in our community that does the contracts that you do. So if you're cool talking about those,
Yes,
I think it'll be really helpful for others.
yes.
Let's do
Let's
it.
go a little in that. Um, so I have three.
Okay.
Well, I have my 7-Elevens, right?
Okay.
And my 7-Elevens, this was just one of those things. I want to say, you know, someone just called me. Okay. I had no idea what I was doing, no idea whatsoever. Okay.
Yeah.
He calls me and he's like, can you come do an estimate? And I'm like, sure. I know nothing about estimates. I know nothing about commercial. I am a finance person.
Yeah.
Okay. I get there and he wants me to give him an estimate. I walk into this gas station and I'm like, I don't even know what I am doing.
Yeah.
It is under uh, construction. Um, and I'm thinking, I don't even know. It's full of dust.
Yeah. I don't know.
Um,
How long will this take?
I don't know. I come in my nice skirt with my nice shirt and my heels, and I'm ready to do whatever it is,
That's
right?
amazing.
And so I give him a number, and he comes back and he says, "This is how much I pay my people in Virginia. Can you do it for that amount?"
Mm,
I
no.
was like, of course I can, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know from Adam what this is, right? Like, I have no idea. Sure, I can do it for that amount,
Take the
right?
book and scramble.
Right. So in my head, I was thinking, okay, well, I have no idea. And this is the perfect opportunity for me to backtrack and figure out if somebody in Virginia is
Mm,
charging this much, what is that price based on? Now,
yes.
I want you to know my pricing, like people always like, what do you do? I came up with it.
Yeah.
How? I don't know. I just
Yeah.
picked a number.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great.
And then I did research and over time, it just, the whole window thing. Do you do Windows? Absolutely. I don't do Windows. Of course I
No.
do Windows,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
How much do you charge for Windows? I don't know. I charge $10 per pane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both sides? Yeah. One side. So $40, right? Like,
Ah, nice.
right? You just kind of go with it. Oh, this is the square footage. I learned how to do square footage in commercial properties because one day I was literally counting with my feet across the whole store. Okay. And everybody was looking at me like I was crazy. I was okay with that.
Yeah.
And this
Crazy but
electrician,
confident.
yes, the electrician was there and he said to me, "Are you trying to find out the square footage?" And I
Mhm.
was like, "I am." And he said, "Look up." And I looked up and he said, "Each of these is 2 feet." He said, "Each block
Oh,
is two
those
feet."
little, like, square things that
Right.
were in,
So he's
like
like, so
oh my god,
yes.
like in
He's
elementary
like,
school.
count them all the way down, count them across.
Oh my
He
god, love
said,
that guy. I didn't know that. There you go.
and I was like, "Oh, okay." Never did the feet counting thing again, right? Now I just go and I look like a genius. I look up, right? I do the math and I'm good, right? I mean, it is all about one, it is about you being present in your business, right?
Yeah.
Um, these kind of things and Rohan and Kevin don't do commercial. And
Mm.
so this was one of those things where I went in and I'm like, I know nothing,
Yeah.
right? But I do know that there's an opportunity for learning and I am there to do that,
Yeah.
right? um, and that in relationships, right? This is a
Yeah.
service business about relationships.
Mm.
I have had this
100%.
relationship since 2017 and
That's a
they
long
call
time.
me they call me whenever, right? They even call me like, "Hey, we're in Virginia, remember I called you about
Yeah.
those jobs?"
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and we have traveled to Virginia for this guy, right? He
Wow.
is just a great person. And so when I am able, I will go anywhere
Okay.
when I am able. Sometimes, then they're
Yeah.
very last,
Yeah.
and that's not feasible for us. But
So
you
how
know,
often does your team clean the 7-Elevens? Like, how big of a contract does that work out to be?
so I'll tell you, it has slowed down drastically. They
Mm.
used to build, I don't even know, I want to say like 10 7-Elevens a year. Um, and they have slowed down quite a bit.
Right.
Uh, when COVID hit, everything just kind of went into a
Change.
different direction.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
did have a team of cleaners who specifically did the 7-Elevens, right?
Mm.
One of the things that I mentioned before was, not allowing your cleaners to hold you hostage,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes you need to clean house,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes your flowers become weeds, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And sometimes when you don't pull those in time, they will drag you down,
Yeah.
right? Uh,
100%. Yeah.
I tell cleaners, my job is it's in the service industry and my enjoyment comes from serving you as a
Mm.
cleaner and
Mm.
serving my clients.
Yeah.
That's my joy.
Mm.
That's where my heart lies.
Yeah.
I focus more on that than anything else, right? I develop relationships.
Mm.
I try not to make those relationships too personal because
That's the key.
that there needs to be a line there. That is something that I've learned over time. When you allow those lines to cross, they will take advantage
Mhm.
of that, right?
Yep.
Thinking that without them, you don't exist,
Mm.
but it's actually the opposite, right? So this year, I got rid of 2 cleaners that I had that I have worked with for years.
Mm. It just wasn't working
Uh,
out anymore, and that happens, and it's okay.
but
It's
you know
personal.
what? This is a simple business. And when I think about, I don't know if you recall one time Kevin um, had a story. I think he was on a boat somewhere. But for some reason, I always imagine that. And I always think there aren't a lot of things that should be causing you stress. If your
Right.
cleaner's causing you stress, she's not the one.
Yeah,
He's
and
not
that's
the one.
okay.
They're not the ones. And
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. There's
Right.
another one around the
And
corner. Mhm.
keeping the whole security thing, right? That comes from being in the job market for so long. For
Mhm.
me, it was about keeping the security. That was my security net. I knew I could send them anywhere. They did a 5-star job every single time. It was fantastic, right? But there was that level of, you know, feeling
Eventually, if you're
that
not doing a five-star job or you're not treating me the like, if
I like
yeah.
disrespecting me.
No. No.
That's not an option, right?
No.
There are certain things that are non-negotiables. That's
Yeah,
right.
that's fair. And so how many cleaners are you working with now?
So right now I have 5 cleaners
Mhm. Yep.
that I
That sounds
work
about
with
right.
consistently.
Yeah.
Uh, I do have a carpet cleaning guy.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting. So you've diversified.
I've always done the carpet cleaning. I just don't market it really. So if it
They would
comes
come to
into my,
you. I mean, it's easy. They're
I
always
know.
looking.
I just, you know what? I don't know. There's no reason why I don't. It's
Hmm.
one of these things where it's like there's no reason why I'm not marketing the carpet cleaning, right? But it's those things, like it's those
Mm.
daily consistency, right?
Yeah.
It's the consistency of the business, right? That I
Yeah.
feel is harder, right? Like if you build consistency around doing the things that move the needle, right? Like making the calls, following up with those one time, with those move outs. They moved to
Mm.
somewhere. Why
Yeah.
can't you clean the house they moved into? Right?
Yeah.
That could be
Yeah.
your goal. Every move out is an opportunity for you to get a reoccurring client,
Yeah.
right?
Rohan calls that the low-hanging fruit.
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah.
why aren't you following up with people that have already booked with you? Like they know
Yes.
your company's good. Why not just follow up? And I
I'll
mean,
tell you,
I'm the first to admit I don't.
right? I tell you, I for a while, for a couple of months back, I followed up with every thumbtack
Mm,
contact that I ever had.
that's amazing.
And I followed up with them and I'm like, hey, at some point you reached out to us,
Yeah.
right?
How's
Um,
it going? Do you need
and
cleaning now?
right, do you
Mhm.
need some service, right? And out of those, and I was doing 20 a day, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I was sending text messages. If I had their
Sure.
phone number, I was sending text messages. If I had the email, I was sending emails. And I was doing 20 of those a day. And they were converting,
Yeah.
right? It's the consistency, right? They were
Yeah.
converting. Ask me why I stopped,
Life. You got a puppy?
right? Right? But those things work, right? Not
They do.
reinventing wheels, like doing the work, right? And
Mhm.
staying in there when you feel, I always I had a mentor of mine who always told me, whenever you feel like you have to give up, right? Where it's just too much and you're like, okay, I'm done. That is, almost like you coming to a crossroad, right?
Mm.
That is the moment. You just have to get over that. And there is so much more on the other side,
Yeah.
right? And so I don't, right? I'm like, I won't quit, right? I won't quit.
So let's circle back to you said your goal is financial freedom, intergenerational wealth, time freedom. So what is that number for you?
You know what? I don't even know what that number is.
Isn't it funny? When you first started, I bet you had a number. And then as you keep going, you start getting more time freedom. Your financial freedom is that you're paying your own bills and you don't need someone else. And so it becomes this weird air. I totally get it. I'm the same way. I had a goal when we first started this company. It was I want to bill uh how much do we want to bill? 3 million a year. Because we believed that if we build 3 million a year, we could sell this company for 10 million. But now we know in Canada it's not as simple as that. I mean, that's still the goal, but it's a moving target. The real goal is time freedom and being able to decide what I do with my day every day. And you just can't put a number on that. Um, it's
I
amazing.
can't, right? I thought everybody thinks a million. I just want to make a million. I just want to
Sure,
make a
yeah.
and I don't know, a million may be enough, right? But the truth is that as you grow in this business and as you grow as a person, as an entrepreneur, you will realize that
Mhm.
there really is no number,
Yeah.
right? There really is no number.
Mhm.
For me, like I said, it's about the service itself.
Yeah.
Um, and it's become more about the service and the relationship and less about the finance because I feel like when you do this, this will come, right? The
Yeah.
finance part will grow and it will grow as far as you want to take it, right? There is no limit,
Yeah.
right? So my goal doesn't have to be a million because it could be 3 million, it could be 5 million, right?
Mhm.
As long as
Mhm.
I continue to service and develop these relationships,
Yeah.
right? I have that other relationship at the Bryce or with Spruce, right? The Bryce is a property, an apartment complex,
Oh,
right?
right. Okay. So we talked about one contract was for 7-Eleven. So this is the other one, apartment complexes.
So the other
Okay.
one is the Bryce, and the Bryce I got through a friend of mine.
Okay.
Here's another little tidbit that I've learned over time. You know, do you want to service your friends and your family? Probably
Not
not,
really. No.
right? Like you don't want to get into their mess. They don't want you to see their mess, right?
No.
Um, but you still need to work at developing that relationship so that they know that you do what you do,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And I have gotten clients, and I got this contract, the Bryce, I got it from a coworker of mine that I worked with back in the day. They had a cleaner who was there. The cleaner started to not show up. They ran into a jam. He called me, "Hey, I need a favor. I need somebody to clean these 3 apartments."
Mm,
Today, did I have those cleaners? Absolutely not. I was like, okay, yes, pulled my cleaners from different jobs. And
yeah.
I was like, I need you guys to go clean these 3 apartments, right? Um, this contract is very lucrative for me.
Nice. Nice.
Um,
Yeah.
and I remember I was on the call with Rohan one day, and I was like, look, I'm depositing this check, right? It was from the Bryce, right? I don't know, it was probably like $2,000, $3,000 check, right?
Mm,
It's great,
yeah.
right? And the way I
Money
do
in
it
the
is I
bank.
only have one cleaner. I have one cleaner who does this part.
We have one cleaner clean 8 apartment buildings.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
exact
great.
same story. Like people always ask, how do you get into commercial? You go into residential, you get your reviews great, and commercial finds you, and you book and scramble. You go, yeah,
Thank you.
sure, and then you figure it out. What I find in terms of recruiting, it's easier to find cleaners that can do commercial than it is to find cleaners that can do residential.
Absolutely.
And the reason being it's simpler, it's repetitive. In my mind, it's the most boring out of all of our contracts. So it takes a special kind of cleaner that enjoys that repetition every single day.
Yes.
And one cleaner can do 8 buildings, no problem.
Yep.
And actually, ironically enough, that one cleaner, we pay her an hourly rate. All of our other cleaners, we pay 60% of the total, of the grant total, but because it's commercial, it's hourly, it's a little different. We still pay her 60%, but we charge less. And so she's technically making less per hour than any of our other cleaners. And yet she bills more per month because of those 8 buildings. And so what I love about this is, you have somebody who's actually making a lot more money than they're used to making,
Yep.
is exceptionally happy doing what she's doing. She takes such pride in her work. She's never called in sick. She's like, these are her buildings. There's an ownership factor there that she
Yeah.
feels.
Yes.
But at the same time, having said that, that building maintenance has just undergone some changes in their management, and they're letting our cleaner go, which is painful both financially and a little bit emotionally for her, because now we're putting her back into residential. And so it's going to be, she's feeling some
Tough.
anxiety, and I get it.
It's tough.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
the struggle with those contracts for us is that they pay the net 30, and sometimes it's not even net 30. So having to front that money because it's so much,
Yeah.
it hurts, right?
Yep.
It's nice to get that check, right? Because when you get it, it's a good, for us. So right now, outstanding with the Bryce, I have maybe $7,000,
Yeah.
right? And that's great. And I don't pay out. I used to pay out 60%. I pay out 60% on certain jobs, but I'm paying out at 55%.
Yeah.
So I only still do contractors. I don't do
Okay.
employees. Gone back and forth on what the right thing is for me, and it goes back to the things that you don't want to do. Just don't do. I don't want to carry inventory. I
Right.
wanted at one point to build a brand, but
Nobody
I don't
cares.
want to tell you what you need to wear. And there is no excitement for me in that.
It's not what your
I,
clients are looking for either. If they were looking for that, they would hire Mary Maids or Molly Maids. Those are the
yeah,
2 big national residential brands. And you know, they're looking for Maid Knows Best or ours, Oak Bay Clean, because we're not those.
yeah,
Yeah. So there's no point wasting your money on, and gosh, I wish everybody, like, please listen to this piece of advice. Do not spend a dime, not even a dime on, your branding of your car, your branding of your clothes, your branding of your business cards.
I did all that. I want you
Ugh.
to know I did all that. Okay. We
Oh,
had the things on our car. We had the checklist. We had the shirt with the logo.
oh
We
man.
we were trying to do the whole Molly Mays. And then I got to a point where I was like, I actually attended. So when I attended, I did the whole program again
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because
because
I mean,
I
Rowan
was
says
like,
all of this.
right. I was like, what is all this? This can't be it. This can't be it. Right.
And
And so that's another thing. At sometimes you have to hit the reset button, and that is okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you failed. It just means you
You
didn't
got to
listen very
reset.
close. No, I'm kidding. No, right? Like it doesn't mean you failed. It just means that you tried to put you into the business plan,
Mm,
into this program, and it's okay. But it's not about you. This is
it's
not a.
not
It's
about you.
not.
Yeah.
It's not right. This
Hmm.
is already been tested. Right? You don't go
Thousands
try
of
to make
times.
your own vaccines and try to. It's already tested. It
Yeah.
already works. There's
Yeah.
no need for you to do anything else but go and get the vaccine, right?
Yeah.
He gave you
The
the
roadmap.
plan.
Yeah.
And if you follow it, it works. If
Yeah.
you don't, now I've ventured out a little bit to the commercial and I feel the stress and the suffering of what that is like,
Yeah.
right? Rohan and Kevin keep it simple.
They
This is
really
what it
do.
is. In
They really do.
residential, you don't have to worry about 30-day net. You don't have to do any of that,
Yeah.
right?
And
Um,
don't worry about it because there'll be another residential client right around the corner. And there's slow periods of time. So in our business, what we've learned is, and I mean, this is fair for anybody dealing with financial transactions. January and February are going to be the very difficult months of the year. And it's very logical. It's because Christmas just happened. And Christmas, especially in North America, is mass consumption time. It all goes on your credit cards. You got to buy those gifts. And then by the end of January, beginning of February, your credit card bills come from Christmas. And so, but by the end of February, by the beginning of March, the calls start coming in again. And that's it. It happens every year.
and you do, I mean, and the numbers don't lie, right?
Yeah.
My January was 11,000, my February was 18, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the month December was 15, January was 11, and February was 18, right?
Wow. Yeah.
It's across the board. That is just how those numbers are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and still, right? It's about that. When you get to January, what do? Do you throw in the towel?
A lot of people do, Sandra.
Right? I
This is
know,
too
right?
hard.
Because they don't, right? Because you're still thinking about January, and you need
Mm.
to be able to think on a larger scale, right?
Oh, I
Every
love that.
business,
Yeah.
even the one who pays you a paycheck, every job goes through these months, right?
Yeah.
They don't tell you about it. They
Yeah.
don't, have a meeting about, hey, we've had a really slow month, right? They don't. But every business goes through this, right?
Yeah.
You've got to be willing to just stay in there, right? When it
Yeah.
gets tough, you have to stay in. You have to show up. And I always say, show up for your business, show up for yourself and your family, right? Show
Mhm,
up,
mhm.
right? You have to be there every day and do something that moves the needle, whether that's updating your Google, whether that's sometimes even just looking through those thumbtacks. Like
Mm,
you can't sit there and say there's nothing. Like I've gone out and I've tried to do the government contracts, which
mm. It's a lot of work.
I did all the paperwork and I already have my stuff, but I haven't really ventured out because I don't I don't think I'm ready financially, right? I
Because in
want to
that 30 days, it's
have,
what Sandra's talking. I mean, what you're talking about, like we have, because we've got commercial clients now, we have months where we are short $17,000 that's coming in 30 days, provided that company doesn't go bankrupt. If that company goes bankrupt, we're out that 17 grand.
right.
Right. And so that's why we're always talking residential, because they pay Visa, MasterCard, Amex. It all goes through Stripe. It's all integrated with Convert Labs. You hit charge card. It shows up in your bank account a couple of days later. In our case, we pay same day. I don't know about you. A lot of people pay, every Friday or every 2 weeks. We
We
just
do
find it
front.
easier to pay daily because
Yeah.
then that's the one thing I do every day between 4 and 5. I sit down at the computer and I pay the cleaners.
Yeah, I still do. And, we've gone all over the place with that too. I pay everybody through Zelle.
Okay. Yeah.
And they get paid every Friday for the week before. So their first week, they don't get paid. Just like you
Right.
would at a normal job, right? And
It's
it
a normal
isn't,
job. Yeah.
right? You don't get paid the first week. And then I pay weekly, right?
Okay.
The spruce contract that I have, okay, that's my other
Oh,
contract.
yeah.
My other
That's your third contract. Okay.
That's my okay. So my third contract is Spruce, which is a company. It's based out of Texas, and they have really consumed all of our apartment complexes. A lot of the luxury apartments
Yeah.
they do the cleanings for. They have come up with a way to integrate with the website of the building. So in other words, you live there, and when you go to pay your rent or do whatever you do online for them, you get to get a spruce cleaning, right? All of their stuff is there.
Oh,
There.
that's cool.
And so I got that lead through Thumbtack. The
So
guy
random.
contacted me, and I was like, what? And of course, in the beginning, he gave me his pricing, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. You're so under market. Like, why would
Mm,
I ever do this? Um, and I kind of saw it as an opportunity to fill in the day for the cleaners.
yep.
When I initially started, I'm like, okay, these are apartments that pay, the payout for them for a cleaner is between 50 and $100.
Mm, yeah, that's low.
Uh,
But
they
if
have
it's filler, no
cleaning,
problem.
right? But I'm like, okay, and I tell my cleaners that I'm like, look, for a day where you have one house and two apartments, that's your day right there, right?
Yeah, that's great. That's a great day.
If both of those properties pay 50, $60, that's 100, $120 that you wouldn't have otherwise. You would have finished your house and you'd have gone home,
Yeah.
right? So for me, it's a win-win. Um,
And
you know,
those aren't move in, move outs or deep cleans or anything, right? Those are just
they're
standard.
everything. So
Ooh,
they do a
okay.
classic clean, they do a deep clean, a regular clean, and a move out.
Okay.
They don't do move outs for every one of them because I feel like some of those complexes already have a cleaning agreement with someone else.
Okay.
But sparingly we do. I get to choose how many. I do about 10 of those bookings a week,
That's a lot. That's great.
right? So we
Great.
do. I have a cleaner who only does spruce. She
That's
does
great.
about cleanings a day.
Okay.
Uh, she makes anywhere from $500 to $700 a week,
That's great.
right? A lot of our cleaners are moms.
Mhm.
They want to be there to pick up their kids at the bus stop. They want to, they want to be done by 2.
Yep.
Some of them only do one apartment a day,
Mhm.
right? They go from, in the morning, they do one apartment. Is it a lot of money? No, but is it more money than you would usually make? Sure.
Especially
Who's
in
going
that
to pay you?
time, right? Like
Right.
if she's only working 4 hours a day, which is probably what she's doing, and taking home, 100, $150, that's a good, and
If
then
you
the
were working, right,
flexibility.
if you're working a part-time job, you would make that much money,
God, no. No, you'd be
right?
making an hourly wage working at like, a
Yeah.
store or something and
So
not have the time freedom that she has, which is that she can
yeah.
say no.
So
Yeah.
it works, right? It really does work. Those are the three that I have. Their pay structure is much better. They pay out uh the money hits on Wednesday. It's a direct deposit into your and the money's in there by Wednesday for the week before. Right.
Okay.
So
That's not bad then. Yeah. So that's
that is
worth it.
not bad. Yeah.
Mhm.
So aside from the fact that it makes a low profit, right? So,
Mm.
daily for each cleaning, I'm not making much of a profit there.
So you didn't do the 60/40 split, you couldn't
No,
do
the
that with that
60/40
one.
split, I could not do because it was too low,
Yeah, fair, fair.
right?
Yeah,
So I adjusted the pricing for that. But across
yeah.
the board, like I said, I do about 55. I used to do 60 across the board. Everybody got 60.
Mm,
But what I realized is that I'm like, okay, I'm doing a lot of work. And as I grow, if I'm giving you X amount of cleanings, that percentage has to go down,
right.
right? I can't pay you, if I'm giving you 10 cleanings a week, I can't pay you out 60%, right?
Mhm,
Because the
mhm.
numbers don't make sense.
Right.
Um, so I do 55%. Unless you're a pain in the butt client, then the cleaner gets 60%. Or it's somebody who they spend a lot of time in that home
Mhm.
because they have kids or it's too much. Then I will pay those out at 60%. But
Okay.
for the most part, I pay out at 50.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, within our community, some people they've got it reversed where they pay 40% and they keep 60. Um, I think it's just whatever works for you, whatever works for your business, your cleaners, your staff, whatever. Finding that sweet spot and more importantly, keeping it simple,
Yes.
so that you can scale and grow. And what I love about 2024, this year, post-pandemic life, is that pay transparency is now on the forefront of employees' minds, and whether or not employers are getting on board is up to them. But the ones that are on board with pay transparency are getting more applications, better qualified applications, And when I say pay transparency, I mean this is what it pays, not this is what it pays if you're a man, which they can't say, but that's what's happened forever,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, and it's a really radical new approach that is very frickin' simple. We pay a percentage. That's it. It doesn't matter if you have 20 years experience, if you have 2 years experience, you do need experience because,
Mhm.
we're not doing the training, but it works.
It
And
does.
it's magical because there's no pushback on, well, I deserve more. Well, this is a job, you're doing a job, and everybody gets the same. I love it. It's my favorite thing about this business. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with the clients, right? When they're like, your pricing is cleaning is a luxury. You either can afford to get your house clean or you can't,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
there's no mystery about it, right? They're like,
Yeah.
you're too expensive. Okay, well, I give you quality. But there
Mhm.
are a lot of cleaners that you can go and get a $60 cleaning for.
Sure. Go for it.
That is your choice. You can go and have somebody come into your home and
Mhm.
clean for $60. And
Yeah.
right, I don't lower, I don't negotiate my price.
No, me neither.
I'm very respectful. I appreciate you giving me a call.
Yeah.
Um, but we don't negotiate pricing. We pay our girls well. And
A living wage.
it just, I wish you all the best. If you
Yeah.
change your mind, you're more than welcome to give us a call.
And if you find that great cleaner who's willing to work for that, please give them my number. Please. I'm always hiring.
I always think about that. Like when
And then
people,
you get them on the
oh,
phone, you're like, what are you doing?
but you know what? When people tell you, so and so used to clean my house for $60. Okay, but why is she not cleaning your house?
Because she found another
Right?
client that's going to
And
pay
they
more.
always come up with the same, well, she got sick or
She got
she had to
busy.
leave or something. No,
She
that's
dropped
not what,
you. She
right.
dropped you.
Either she dropped you or she wasn't doing the job because you weren't paying her to do the job that you wanted her to do.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the two options, right? So in the beginning I did, because again, you're like, oh, I want to get this client. And then I'm like,
No.
no, I never claimed to be the cheapest. I am not the cheapest in Charlotte. Why would I want to be the cheapest?
Yeah.
Who, why would I try to, have a business and I'm going to offer you the cheapest service? Because to me, when I think I'm going to offer you the cheapest service, I think I'm going to offer you the least quality. In my brain, that's how that works, right?
I was doing some research on pricing in a new city that we were expanding to. And so I did the typical thing where you reach out to a bunch of cleaning companies just to get a sense of what is the rate for this new city. And one of the companies put me on a list, many of the companies put me on a list where they just spam, 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 right? And one of them recently said, we're going to give you 50% off for the year if you sign up for this contract. And as the owner of a cleaning business, let me tell you why that's a terrible idea. Number one, you've just said your labor, because that's the only thing you're paying for in cleaning is a person, a human being. You have just discounted their price by 50%. Like, gross. Number two, you're roping people into a year-long contract, which means you need cash flow because that person's going to pay ahead. Well, number three, you can't fire that client now. And as Sandra just said, and every single person that I've interviewed, every single person says who's successful in this industry, you have to be able to let your clients go.
Yep.
If you have good cleaners, which you should, then you've got to be able to let your clients go. Well, a client that has just paid 50% off for a whole year, talk about a nightmare. That is not the kind of person I want to be spending my time on because that person's going to be calling me. She didn't use a toothbrush to clean my baseboards.
Yep.
No, thank you very
Gotta know what
much.
they know, right? Like,
Thank
yes.
you. Next. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got it. All right. So it's been an hour. So I want to be conscious of your time. Are there any last bits of advice that you have that you haven't had a chance to share for somebody just starting out, thinking about getting into this industry?
If you're cleaning, stop cleaning. Okay. You're allowed to go to one cleaning for the experience. Okay.
I
And
love it.
then you are not allowed to clean. You are not a cleaner. You are a business owner.
Yes.
You are a business owner and you have to you have to play that role. Embrace the role of being a business owner now. If this
Hmm.
is a new venture for you, you are a business owner. This is no different from any other industry in the sense that you own your business.
Yeah.
Whether you're contracting or doing employees and W-2s, that
Doesn't
is
matter.
logistics.
Yeah.
You are a business owner and you need to play that role, right? Embrace that role of being a business
And honestly, like, the community that we're talking about, it's connected to Convert Labs, and it's all, there's over 400 people in there that all share best practices or worst practices or whatever. We all just share. It's all about transparency.
owner. Yes.
Because Sandra's business in North Carolina has nothing to do with my business in Canada,
Yes. Do not
right?
be a hater. Do
Right?
not be a hater. There is
You don't
enough
have to be.
business for everybody.
Exactly. And but the one consistent thing, I mean, there's many consistent things, but one of them is that piece of advice: stop cleaning. And it breaks my heart because there's so many amazing cleaners out there that find us on YouTube, and they then want to build the dollars that we're billing, I should say. And they get frustrated because they want to control, because that's what it's about. It's about
Let's go.
controlling,
Let's go.
right? And Sandra, I know at the beginning of this, you said, my biggest issue is control, and recognizing it is the first step,
Yep.
but then also putting that into place. And you had to stop cleaning. I remember talking to you 2 years ago, and you would, it was like 2 a.m. that you were still at the
I
7-Eleven.
cleaning a 7-Eleven, okay, at 2 in the morning, okay. I was doing no sleeping. I would have to get home and shower and take my children to school in the morning,
Yeah,
okay.
gross,
It
gross.
insanity. One day when I could not comb my hands hurt so bad I could not comb my hair. And my 15-year-old boy was combing my hair. I was sitting in front of the mirror and I said to myself, that's enough, right? Like this was never the plan, right? But it comes from what you said. It comes from not being able to let go and wanting to control everything. Can
You
you
have
do it
to.
better than everybody? Probably,
Yeah,
right? Do you have more commitment? Absolutely. It's your business. You should have more commitment, right?
sure.
You should have pride in what you do. But you know what? There are other people who could do it just as good. You are not the top of the crop all the time, right?
Yeah.
Because that's it, right? I could do it. If someone's not doing it quick enough, then I'll do it, right? If I ask you to do something and you're not doing it right, I'm going to do it my way. That's just,
It's not
you
worth
can
it.
be that way, but you can't grow. You
Yeah.
can't grow in that space of wanting to hold on. You just can't grow.
And there are days in this business where you won't have a lot to do but charge the cards.
Yes, I love those.
And you have to get used to, because like Sandra said before, we're so programmed to believe in it's the capitalist consumption machine, which is busy, busy, especially in North America, like busy, 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 busy. I think Europe has this a lot better figured out. A lot of the European countries are like, no, we're going to take holidays. Thank you very much. We don't want to be like them.
The
Um,
guilt will set in if you don't, right? It's
that is
that.
exactly how we feel. It's
Yes.
guilty for not, and I've had to embrace, and Jen told me I've got to stop talking about yoga in these calls, but I do go to yoga every single day, and I carve out 2 hours of every work day as a non-negotiable, because my job is to be nice and kind to people. And in order to be nice and kind to people, I got to ground myself. And for me,
Yes.
that is going to yoga. For someone else, that might be golfing. Hussein, who's in our community, he golfs every day now, 24 years old, billing 50K a month, 60K a month. And, and he's like, yeah, I golf every day. I'm like, good for you, so you just don't,
You do.
you don't get freaked out about because the things that happen, and there are things that happen in your day that can set you off as a business owner, but you can handle them better when you are now realizing that your job is to golf and juggle all the balls in the air.
Learning to have a life, like learning to have a life. It is okay, right? Like
Okay.
I am struggling.
Yeah.
Like I just started. So this is day 28 for me. I decided I needed to do 30 days of something that was non-business related, that's
Yes.
related in me and my growth, my personal growth, whatever
Ooh,
that
what is
is.
it?
So I decided, okay, I have tried to read the Bible, I don't know how many times, countless.
Mm,
And I was like, okay, I need to do something. And I'm like, okay, I am going to read a chapter, just one chapter a day
mm,
of the Bible every day for
good for
30
you.
days. Okay. And I'm on day 28. Okay. I tried doing this so many times. This is the farthest that I've ever come. Right.
Amazing.
Because I always feel like there's some sort of guilt involved. If I'm sitting doing something for myself, I should be doing something for the business. Like,
Isn't
what am
that
I
wild?
not doing? Right. And you fill yourself with that and you forget to live your life. Right. And partially why you're doing this, it's a full circle, right? You're
Mhm.
doing this business, you're an entrepreneur because you want to live a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And
that better
so
involve reading every day.
it's counterproductive.
Yeah,
If
totally.
you are in this business heading all the time and you don't give yourself some me time, some
Yeah.
quality,
Yeah.
because you should be growing spiritually, emotionally, financially, the same way your business is growing, right? And if you're not, then you can't grow your business if you are not well.
Oh,
If
I love
you are
that.
not where you need to be, right,
Hmm.
spiritually, uh, emotionally, if you're not taking care of yourself because you're throwing yourself head in to your business, there will come a moment where you will crash, and it's only you. You don't have the luxury of crashing, right?
Hmm.
So you have to continue to invest in yourself the same way you invest in your business,
Yeah.
right?
And your relationships,
Retirement,
your health.
right? There's so
Mhm.
many people who don't. You want to you have a business, but you ultimately want to retire. There are so many different pieces, right? Find yourself a financial advisor. Sit down
Mhm.
and talk about you get to have a 401k. You get to have some sort of investment for yourself for your future.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
the business is important, but it's not
It's not
the only
everything.
thing in your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And if it becomes that way, eventually you want to throw in the towel or you feel like you have nothing to show for. When I opened up my retirement piece for the business, it gave me back a little bit of that job
Yeah.
security thing,
Yeah. Of
right? Like I am still investing as a business owner. You can still invest in your retirement,
course. Yeah.
right? You just have to ask the right person. You just have to use your resources. I always think about everybody who's helped me along the way, and people are like, what can I do for you? You can pass it along. If I helped you with something and I gave you something,
Mhm.
what you could do for me, pass that along to someone else. When somebody calls you, give them. You know how many checklists I have given people?
Mm.
Or how do you do your pricing? Here's my website. Go ahead and look at all my pricing. You can copy it for all you. I don't. You could take the whole thing. You could duplicate it and make it as your own. And I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
As long as it's not in my town.
Right. Don't come starting it, Rohan. Don't come. No.
Don't come from my town.
Right? But honestly, right? Like
Yeah.
you can, right?
Yeah.
Our business, we Rohan started this and he helped his cleaner grow her business.
Hmm.
Eventually, it was her business. It's
Yeah.
the same thing that we do for ours, right?
Yeah.
This is your business. You are a 1099. You can make this as big as you want.
Yeah.
Here you go.
As big or as small as you want. And
Yes.
success leaves clues. So reaching out to people within our community. How did you do this? What did
Yep.
you do
Use
here?
your resources. Yep.
And I can tell you the people that are the most successful in our community do exactly that, right? They reach out, they're like, "Hey guys, I found this amazing new tip. Check this out. This is what I've tweaked with my Google ads. This is how I do my thumbtack approach. Here's my, a phone interview I just did if somebody wants to listen to it." It's the BNI, the business networking group always says givers gain. And it is that approach, which is that the more you give, the more you get within reason, like
Mhm.
you don't need to be sharing everything in your personal life with everybody. But when it comes to business, tapping into the community that we have, I mean, it's right there. And
Yeah.
when you're using Convert Labs, it literally is a button on
It's
Convert
like,
Labs, you hit
yeah.
community, and you've got access to all of these people that, and I love that philosophy part of it because we're not competing with each other. We're just not.
Right. And
Yeah.
there's no reason, right? Like
Yeah.
I
And
always,
it's a scarcity mindset. We don't have that scarcity mindset. We know that there's more around the corner every single day. Okay, so it's 8:11. So
growth is
thank
good.
you for meeting me at 7 a.m. The
Thank
only
you.
hour we could carve out. I love it.
Sorry, I made you guys get up early.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good. I mean, I'm up anyway. My cleaners are already getting out the door. What's my excuse, right? Like
Yes.
all I gotta do is sit here on Zoom drinking my morning coffee with the lovely Sandra. So thank you so much for your time. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you,
Thank you
Sandra.
so much for having me.
Anytime. This is gonna be fun. I'm gonna see how Jen edits this together. It's gonna be great. Yeah.